Hi chums, it is a glorious evening. If I could stop weather now, I would stop it. It's almost 8 o'clock in the evening and it's 23 degrees, which is about 75 Fahrenheit, and it is just lovely. I wasn't going to do a video, but the garden looks that nice and I'm in such good form and decided to do one. So we'll take a wee race round and see what's happening here. Just let you see down this side of the house. Remember saying about the trees, whenever the sun shines on the trees, they look nice, you know, and that is really, ooh, up into the air. That's a beech tree there, and then there's a chestnut tree beside it. I'll just walk over and let you see. And then beside that is a blackthorn, or a may. But isn't that lovely? That's a mountain ash, a rowan tree or mountain ash there, and that's a blackthorn. That's a blackthorn there. And this is your cherry, or this is a, what do you call it? A cucumber, a chestnut tree. And I'll show you, there's the flowers of a chestnut. You'll not be getting much closer than that there, will you? That's only about 5.5 feet off the ground, you know. So it's just, everything looks lovely. Now, yesterday, this is my wild area here, but I'm filling this in to raise it up. And as you can see, there's a bit of work done yesterday. This stuff here was brought, I can't see my screen very well. This stuff here was brought in by my mate's son David. He had the wee sort of mower and tractor trailer thing going, and we moved that stuff yesterday. That is compost that I've made, and it's about 5 years old, and it's just weeds and stuff. But what do you see this here? You know, it's really nice stuff. I'll get out of the light and see if it can work. Look. It's lovely, lovely stuff. So what I'm using that for is, I can just get out of my own light would not be good. What I'm using that for is, I'm using it to build this bed up, and then I'll use it for pumpkins and stuff like that. I'm just going to see. You see, it's lovely friable stuff. That's about 5 years old, most of that, you know. So peas are not doing very well, but when I put them in, it was very wet and cold, so I think a lot have died, but there's some coming up. I'll just leave them now. Last year I put more in among those and caused a whole confusion. Those are Japanese chives, and they really deserve a better place than that. 5 years have been in those little blue buckets, and they're still doing their best. We've got leeks here. Those are the leeks. They're about 10 inches apart, which is a bit close there. But what I do is I'll take every second leek out as they're maturing and use them as they grow. So I made a mistake too. Dan's going to go tut when he sees this. Look, gritty leeks. I forgot to wet the bed, and I was doing it the whole time thinking this soil is very loose, and I forgot to hose it first to make the soil firm. But you make mistakes now and then, and that was one of mine. The corn, I've got plenty of leeks left over, as you can see. Corn is out, and I've got 3 rows of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're 15 inches apart instead of 18, but they're 18 inches apart here along the side between rows. That should be enough. And then those are potatoes that were in the bags last year. Do you remember the trial that myself and John did? Well, those are the little potatoes that were mixed up and just threw them into a bag, and that's them taking their chances. These are cobra beans. These are my favourite beans. And I'll show you something else. Oh, you've seen it? I'm copying Dan this year as well. Only for Dan, there'd be nothing done in this garden. And I have got the cobras in, but I'm doing some in the greenhouse. And I've got my sunflowers are in again this year in the beds. And then we've got onions here. And spot what direction south is in. So that's that. Now, shallots. These are the shallots that I bought to replace the ones that were dead, okay? And these are the ones that were dead. And as you can see, they're very far from it. So, tomato planters, I'm using these big planters to put courgettes and stuff in this year. I hope they'll do better than they did last year in the pots. And this is my garlic, and the garlic's looking pretty good. Now, I've got carrots, cabbages and cauliflowers, and these are broad beans. The broad beans are putting on loads and loads of flowers, so they're doing really well. And more broad beans here. These are almost big enough, and if there's going to be black fly appearing on these soon, if I can just find, yeah, look. That's black fly there. So what I do is, whenever I see that, you can see what I'm at here. I'll just show you from here, from the tip There's the flowers there. There's the tip of the plant. I just take that off, and that stops the black flies. Right, and these are just waiting to go in. These are Eric's beetroots that he sent me, some of his marigolds. Or sorry, not Eric, Scott. Another guy in my head there, obviously. Scott's marigolds, which are doing dead on. They're getting a bit root bound, but they'll be out soon. And these are Scott's Blue Lake climbing beans, or pole beans, and they're actually doing their thing, going up poles. As you can see, this is my first year ever having success with those. Any other year I tried the Blue Lake beans, they were a disaster. So it looks like we're going to actually see something. This is a dwarf bean, and the potatoes are still doing their thing. They're doing okay. These are ones that I got from Malachi, a friend. That's one called Sarpomira, and another one up here called Maris Piper, which is an old favourite, you know. So I'm trying these ones, see how they go. They were put in a lot later than these. And then these are my own potatoes here. Those are the Charlottes. They're about 4 feet high now, and they're doing okay. And the strawberries. Where do you see the strawberries? Look at the flowers on those there. Aren't they fantastic? And you're not even seeing it right. Where was I standing? Yeah, look. There's going to be a bumper crop. But from watching you guys on YouTube that have fruit bushes, you all seem to be having the same experience as me, that the potatoes, or that the fruit seems to be the very best this year. And here we are. Remember the big pile of rubbish that was in here across there? Well, we're almost through it. That's just bags of compost at the back from 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm going to clear this place out, and I'm going to put rhubarb in here, or pumpkins, I'm not too sure which. But that'll be cleared, and a raised bed put in. And the water, do you see where that football is there? Right? There's a football in the back. That's sitting just on top of water. There's a drain run down the back. So there's plenty of water in this area. So that's not going to be an issue for that. Now, I'm going to go down this side of the greenhouse on purpose to show you something. I've got me pots all ready for the tomatoes, and I've brought them out from the wall a bit, as you can see. What do you see? Because of the light situation, because of that concrete there, I have brought the pots about 18 inches out from the wall, which means they get direct daylight from the morning right through, so they'll be able to compete with the guys over on this other side, which I'm not going to show you yet. So these are just some tomatoes. Well, those are ones that a friend gave me the other day that he had been brought on, so I'm going to give those a try. That's one called Ailsa Craig, and that's Gardener's Delight. But I have Gardener's Delight as well, and we're going to compare the two to see which get on the best. And then this is all spares, all this stuff here, of zucchinis and melons and squashes. But there are people coming to get this stuff, hopefully soon. And this is more spares and some. These are broccoli and stuff that I can't get. I don't know where to put them, you know. Then down here, we're on to Scott's stuff again. There's the Pimenta Denied. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but look at that, Scott. Isn't the colour of that beautiful? That's what I wanted. Now, I'm colourblind, as most of you know, but I can see that as just, to me, that looks like a really dark purpley colour. I'm sure that might be what it is. If I'm not sure if something's red or not, it says I call it purple. So, but I think it's a beautiful plant. Look what happens after one day. Now, those were watered this morning, right? And it was up at 25 centigrade at one stage here today. And when I walked in here this morning, it was like 46 at 9 o'clock in the morning, you know. And the doors were open all night. I left them open. So that's what happens. But I'll probably come back tomorrow, but he'll probably end up in the compost anyway. Dale. These are Dale's AJI Dulce. I don't know what that's an abbreviation or something. But it's a pepper, but it's coming on. And the peppers are slow in Ireland, you know, and I was slow getting them in. More stuff. Right, this is what I was talking about, Dan. Incidentally, Dan, Allotment Diary. If you haven't discovered Dan's channel yet, you need to get there. He is very, very good. And he's got a superb cameraman called Emotiville, and he's just superb. Great team. And he does super stuff. Dan puts cobra beans in his polytunnel. So I thought, I'm going to try that in the greenhouse. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take the beans, like Dan, I'm going to take the beans up to the roof, and then across the roof, and then they all hang down and makes them easy to gather. These are my cucumbers here. These are my cucumbers and squashes that I'm putting in the greenhouse. I have started growing lettuces like this, okay? Just a single lettuce in a pot. And you have no problem, right, you have less of a problem with slugs and stuff. And what do you call those boys that live under the ground that eat the roots on you? Weevils and stuff like that there. I can't remember the name of it. Leather jackets. We're beside Loch Ness here, lots and lots of daddy long legs, crane flies, and they lay the eggs in the soil, and then the leather jackets eat the roots the next year. I had lettuces in here a couple of years ago, and I come down the next morning and look at the little seedlings, and they were lying over on their side with no roots. But when I put my finger down and dug around, there was a leather jacket under every single one that was damaged. Now, there's some more cayenne peppers there. This is the stuff that I've forgotten the name of. Okra. That's the okra down there. It's about 6 or 7 inches high now. But I've discovered something about that deal. Okra does not like to be transplanted. And as a guy I watched the other day, and I've forgotten your name, I'm sorry, and he's in America, and he transplanted okra into a bed, and he also sowed seed in the same bed. And the seed that he sowed is like far, far higher, like 4 feet high, compared to the stuff he transplanted, which is still the same height as he put it in. So they don't take that very well. Now, as we were saying, there's the tomatoes. Now, those are about 9 inches high, you know, about 20 centimeters or so, or maybe more. Maybe get to 30 centimeters, but not quite. You know, about 10 inches. We're giving 10 inches, okay? Those were potted on. Those weren't potted on at all. Sorry, the ones that were with those were potted on 10 days ago, and there's a difference that 10 days makes. Those ones there are coming to 2 feet long, 2 feet high, like 30 centimeters, you know, and that's the difference the bigger pot and fresh compost makes. They just love it. So what I've got here is I've got my bucket system going again as usual, but I noticed that the plants in the buckets do better than the plants in the soil. And my wife said to me one time, well, a whole lot of times recently, you know, you took more stuff out of that greenhouse than you did when you had, sorry, you took more stuff out of the little greenhouse, the 6x8, than you do out of the big greenhouse. And the common denominator was I grew everything in buckets because every square inch was precious, and I moved buckets about and had a very strict rotation and all the rest of it. So what I've done this time is I'm going to use buckets here as well, but as you can see, the buckets have no bottoms in them. So what do you call it? I cut the bottom out of all these buckets, and I've got some more there for the other side. So I'm going to raise the plants up and still bury them deep, but this time the roots are not going to be sitting in the soil on the ground because the water table here is very high, and I think that they were sitting in water most of the time. So this time we'll let the roots go down to find water and then stop rather than be sitting in water. And it also means I can concentrate the feed into the buckets as well. I think that Katz was doing that with his tomatoes. I think it was him anyway. And what do you call it? Or it might have been Ian Lockton. Either, maybe both are doing it. But it's one of those two mentioned the fact that they were concentrating the feed in the buckets. And I think they're right. So we're going to give a trial here with this. And the other thing is, these are mostly all Scott's tomatoes that he sent me. You know, I'll just go down through them. Those ones there are Scott's. That's Indigo Rose. Well, they're not very big. I've just spotted bigger ones. These are Red Alert. Those are mine. That's Juliet there. Those ones are Scott. The next ones are Gardener's Delight. They're mine. The next ones are Indigo Rose. Those ones are Scott's there. The next ones are Luciola. Those are mine. They're a plum tomato. The next one is, I have to go around the pole there, Boxcar Willie there. And then we have Big Beef Hybrid there. And the last one is Cherokee Purple. I think I bought that one. But Scott's seeds are the biggest of all, you know. But so I'm pleased with that. They seem to be working very well. And as you know, I'm like 8 months behind him in terms of planting. There's the tomatoes. I'll reach up there and see what I can't see in there, you know. But they're actually starting to get flowers on them. Those are the hanging basket tomatoes. And this year, what I've done is they're all getting flowers on them. If you can, I'm just trying to see. I'm trying to see the screen here. They're all getting flowers. This year, what I'm doing is I'm putting one plant in each pot, and already those plants are bigger than the ones were last year at the end of the season. So I had 2 plants in each pot, or 3, plus a marigold or something. So it's just far too much pressure in the soil. So folks, that's basically where we are, you know. There's another. I'm going to promote another channel here. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to mention one that I like very much, and it's gardening and everything in it. Gary Entropy. I'll put a link down below to his channel. If you haven't discovered Gary, he's a unique way of thinking about things. He's a very intelligent guy. I don't want that to sound patronising, but you'll understand when you see him that he is. I love the way he thinks, and I found him when he was doing a very measured, reasonable response to Stephen Hayes and the video he put up, and it was the most well calculated argument I had ever seen, I reckon, or heard. And I sort of decided, right, this guy is interesting, I'm going to keep watching. He does bike rides in the Black Forest in Germany. He lives just on the edge of the Black Forest, and the bike rides are just fantastic, you know. He had a great one up today. So I'm going to put a link down below for Gary, and have a look at him, and I'll do Dan's allotment as well. I'll put not Dan's allotment diary as Dan. I'll put him down as well. So maybe go and take a look at those. They're very, very good, you know. So there you are, folks. That's where we are. Tomorrow is going to be over here. It's going to be fill the tubs up, and then tomorrow night my mate son David's coming back out again to finish this job here off. It's great to have young muscles about the place, you know, because, well, I think there's something to be said for child slavery, to be honest with you, you know. Should never have been abolished, but I like to try and keep it alive in my garden. I used to have another garden slave here, my niece. She was great, and she was my garden slave, but then she discovered wee fellas and started running about all over the place, so I lost her then, you know. But I've got another slave now, so I'm happy enough, you know. So there you are, folks. That's it. That's I'm not going to point at the sun, because I will point at the sun because the camera might tone it. I'll do it through the trees a wee bit, but there you are. It's still quite high in the sky, and it'll be bright until around about 11 o'clock tonight. Not as bright as this, but it'll be getting dusky. But it'll be like this until near 10 o'clock. As bright as this, you know. So, lovely day. So there you are, folks. Just say cheerio now, and all the best. Bye bye.